Hey guys, welcome to Clix Corner. Today I've got a video for you that I've literally been planning to do for years, and basically I have completed the list in the last, say, 10 minutes, so hopefully I haven't missed anything off that was just glaringly bad. But what it basically is this is the first in a series of top 10s I intend to do. Now, a thing that's very interesting with a lot of the Yu-Gi-Oh figures is that they were either good or the card was bad in the first place, in which case it doesn't really matter. So basically we're more looking at what was disappointing rather than what was good and bad, although there is a bit of bad stuff to talk about on the list. Now, there is a lot of disappointment around Yu-Gi-Oh! Heroclix, but a lot of them were pretty good, and more or less I'd say I'm satisfied with the way we had. Well, I definitely say I'm satisfied with the way that Yu-Gi-Oh! Heroclix went. And this is the top 10 worst or most disappointing Yu-Gi-Oh! Heroclix ever. So at number 10, I put Sengenjin. Now the simple reason for this is that its sculpt is ugly as balls. I mean, that is the most hideous thing I've ever seen. The dial itself isn't particularly bad, because eventually it does get very big numbers, and it's pretty long for 125 points. I'd definitely give this guy a try when I actually get around to playing some of my Yu-Gi-Oh figures. But the sculpt is completely hideous. Now, he's not the best looking of cards. His, like, premium pack foil does make him look pretty cool, and it definitely makes him look better than that. Number 9 is Yugioh. Now, this literally is on the list because I wanted to put another figure from Series 3 on the list. Because, seriously, Series 3 was fantastic. Series 2 was awful, but Series 3 was fantastic. So, from Series 3, Yugioh. Now, the reason he's on this list is just because for 116 points, his 16 defense is pretty lackluster. And as cool as this guy's sculpt actually is, he's not above having a lot of Konami-sized errors, because WizKids have successfully given him wind keyword. He's not even a wind! What are you doing? Oh my god! In at number 8 is Wing Weaver. Now this might be an odd one, and this is where the list starts getting subjective, because whether you're talking about whether Yu-Gi-Oh! Heroclix are good or bad, or disappointing or great, depends on your preference for cards. Now, Wing Weaver has a long history with me because as a kid I didn't have particularly strong cards, and because of that, Wing Weaver was like my boss monster for a good long time. And to be honest, I've always had a soft spot for fairies in Yu-Gi-Oh! Although, to be fair, I had a soft spot for everything over the years. And when this Wing Weaver figure was leaked, I was like, no, this is terrible. For any of you that don't really know, Wing Weaver in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Game is a 2750 attack vanilla monster. In Heroclix, she is a 98 point figure that has a random support click as a start, then moves on to a 9 attack, and then lackluster attack and damage values until she eventually dies on incapacitate. Well, actually, to be fair, she does have some mighty damage values, and she probably isn't as bad, but this activation click followed by this click of a 9 makes me think that her dial really starts on click 3, and then it's just disappointing. It's definitely not bad, but I'd rather play something much better for 98 points. So Wing Weaver truly is a disappointing figure for me. Not particularly bad, just incredibly disappointing. Wing Weaver was a cool one, and unfortunately, this hasn't really done her justice. Coming in at number 6, we have Yatagarasu. Now, the simple reason for this is that I thought Yatagarasu was going to be so awesome, and it's just not. I mean, I was thinking with its ability in the game to turn off your opponent's draw phase, I thought it was going to do something cool that stopped your opponent using relics or resources, or at least stopped them from using spells and traps, Yu-Gi-Oh's own mechanic. But in reality, what they did with Yatagarasu was make a lackluster speedy bird with a hypersonic speed power, but isn't even particularly fast. Now, for 50 points, don't get me wrong, this is a pretty good dial. Because she's fast, she's got the willpower, she's got a bit of empower to help, she's got a tiny size which will make her harder to hit, she can fly even, and, you know, generally as a package, it's pretty good. It's just disappointing again. Coming in at number 6, because Yatagarasu was number 7, not number 6, is Fiberjar. Now I thought this was going to be higher up in the list, but then the rest of the list kind of disappointed me a lot more than this did. Now, me and my friend Tom used to play a lot of character duels, and with Bandit Keith, we allowed him to use Fiberjar and Cyberjar, because, you know, there's not that many machines out there, so it's only logical that he would have that sort of stuff. So let's have a look at what Fiberjar does, because in those games, he was incredibly fun. He reset the game, you know, it was a good laugh. When Fiberjar is KO'd, heal all characters one click, regardless of where they are. Okay. Okay, that's disappointing, and it's also bad. I don't want to heal my opponent's figures clicks. But, whatever. Now should we take a look at what Morphinjar does? If it will ever load. Once per game, when Morphinjar is hit with an attack, after actions resolve, starting with you, each player chooses a friendly character and places it into an opponent's starting area until all characters have been placed. So it puts everyone back in the starting area. That's what Fiberjar does! Oh, come on! The Fiberjar sculpt itself is pretty cool. I quite like it. But the figure is just so bad, it's not worth playing. Especially since the other jars are just great. These are great for 30 points, and he just isn't. So, he's not going to get played. Coming in at number 5, it's Time Wizard. Now, Time Wizard is obviously a fan favourite. What he isn't is one of my favourite Yu-Gi-Oh! Heroclix. Now, the dial is irregular, erratic, it's all over the place, and it's awful. There's time magic. At the beginning of your turn, roll 2d6 that can be re-rolled. If the result is 7 or higher, all opposing characters get -2 defense. If it's 6 or lower, all friendly characters modify their defense by -2. So it's not even particularly good if you do succeed. I mean, giving -2s to all of your opponent's stuff is pretty good, but you could easily -2 yourself, and fundamentally, it's not as good as it could have been in any way. Fair enough, they balanced it, but the fact is, you know, Time Wizard was not particularly ever a great card, I suppose, depending on whether you were willing to take the gamble or not. But the dial's bad, the ability's not particularly good, he's super rare, and you know this sculpt, I know it doesn't really look it, but this sculpt could, if you laid it down flat, it would encompass the face of China. This thing is enormous. Like, I have a small Time Wizard figure that looks remarkably similar to it, and it is so much more suited to being a Heroclix sculpt than that is. It is enormous, and it is ridiculous, but I'm not marking it down for the sculpt on this case, I'm marking it down for the shoddy dial and a dodgy trait. Coming in at number 4 is 1000 Eyes Restrict. Now, this was another childhood favourite of mine, because I had it from the Master Collections, and then it got banned, and then I think I I definitely traded it off. Massively regret it now, obviously, but at the time it was a banned card, it wasn't worth keeping a hold of. But I really liked 1000 Eyes Restrict, I really liked Pegasus, and for 113 points, I wouldn't touch this dial with anything. I mean, it's awful. I mean, the idea is that you use the Absorption Force to power up him. However, he still doesn't get any move and attack, and his numbers still start off completely lackluster. That is a 16. A 17 wouldn't be amazing, but a 16, that is awful, and you need to buff that up, and it's possible, but it's not worth it. Now, this isn't the same case for Relinquished, because Relinquished has the ridiculously OP ritual mechanic, so even though his dial is still pretty boring, you can get him in pretty easily without doing anything, and then fundamentally it is not bad. The one thing I can say though is that I really like the sculpt. I know it looks crap, but I don't know why, I really like it. Up next is Forest Hunter. Right, let's balls to it, let's just talk about how bad Series 2 was. This is the Series 2 set. Now bear in mind that when you get 3 Yu-Gi-Oh sets, you have 3 Yu-Gi-Oh sets to fill out with fan favourite cards that are going to sell gravity feeds, that are going to put smiles on children's faces. And there are so many awesome things that never got made into Heroclix, and they would obviously be awesome, but they're never going to exist now. And yet what do exist are 3 or 4 figures which never even got to the stage of being cards. I mean, the only person on the face of the earth that I know likes these fairy tale cards is my friend Tomo, and that's because he wanted them as cards and they were never made as them. For me, these are fundamentally figures that are taking up the space of things like Winged Dragon Guardian of the Fortress 1 and other various things that people would like to see because Yugi played them or whatever. Now, I'll point out the fact as well that Bandit Keith only has 1 card with the Bandit Keith keyword. I think Rex Raptor is the same and Weevil Underwood isn't far off. So, a lot of the keywords they've created were just completely pointless, yet they've used up space with these fairy tale cards, which were never even actual monsters. Now, in all fairness, I can't be completely annoyed about them because, I mean, the Thorn Princess, for example, is pretty good. The Little Red Riding Hood even looks awful, but, you know, the figures themselves aren't particularly bad. The Forest Wolf has a cool gimmick where when it kills something, it keeps it, and when you kill it, the thing comes out again. That's cool, except you give your opponent's figure back, and that's just not something you want to do. So, yeah, that's pretty terrible as well. Other than that, Series 2 was pretty disappointing just because it gave you a lot of things you never actually wanted, like Ball Soldier. Truly, Series 2 was about as disappointing as a vibrator you bought from the pound shop. Yeah, the higher rarity stuff is pretty cool. So that, yeah, the number 3 on my list is the fairy tale monsters in general. As number 2, sticking to the theme of taking up space for no reason, I'm going with the entire Battle of the Millennium reskins. Now, I understand the theory. You know, Blue Eyes White Dragon and Red Eyes and Dark Magician were all... Dark Magician didn't even get one, actually. But, you know, Dark Magician Girl, Blue Eyes White Dragon, Karibo, Harpy Lady, they were all either super rare or chase. So, you know, there's a good chance you might not have got them. And people obviously want to get them. So, why not repackage them for people to get them in a really badly organised play as OP Kit LE figures that you have to win? I mean, it just makes sense, doesn't it? It just fixes the problem of people not having these chases and super rares. No, what it actually does is it shows that you should have either made them just Battle of the Millennium prizes in the first place, or should have just left them as they were. So basically, this is 6 figures that have been redone. Blue Eyes White Dragon being redone for the 3rd time in this set. And I just fundamentally think they shouldn't have been a thing. Like, you know what you could have had as a Battle of the Millennium prize? Like Legendary Fisherman. You know, cards that were actually won. Insect Queen. You know what we didn't get? Beaver Warrior! There's no Beaver Warrior Heroclix! I mean, you just have to start questioning why these decisions were made. One thing they definitely didn't get wrong was the Millennium Stone. One thing they completely didn't get was Slife of the Sky Dragon. This guy is unbelievable. He took a bit of a hit with the energy explosion changes, but he's still pretty awesome. I'd still probably pay 425 points for him. And coming in at number 1 is... Dun dun dun! Exodia. What? Did he just say that? Yeah. Yes, I did. But I can explain. Now, Exodia might be an absolute powerhouse of a figure that is so OP I never want to actually play it. But the fact of the matter is that I spent the whole time building up to knowing we were going to get an Exodia thinking, you can't have Exodia without a win condition, but you can't have a win condition in Heroclix. How can you juggle these two things? And obviously, WizKids' response was make a ball-breakingly strong figure that can just fap away absolutely anything that comes into its grasp. However, in the very next set, they released a figure with a win condition. So they could have given it to Exodia in the first place, in the very next set. So, yeah, I think Exodia is pretty disappointing. I think it might be a bit harsh to put him as number 1 on this list. Exodia is so good I don't want to play it, but it's so bad that I'm disappointed by it. Like, the actual power of this figure is insane, to the point where I'd feel uncomfortable winning with it. But it doesn't have a win condition, so it's not Exodia. And they have put win conditions in Clix now. And so I just can't make any sense out of it. So yeah, I was pretty disappointed by Exodia. So let me know what you think. What would your top 10 most disappointing Heroclix be in the comments below? You can talk about Yu-Gi-Oh or otherwise. And I'm going to sign off now. So thank you for watching and goodbye.